Yo, 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 yo. What's good with it? It's the homie MACK. Music, art, culture, knowledge. Each one teach one. Peace and love. Reporting live from the Dogon. Thumbs up, give me the likes. Thumbs up, give me the likes. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel 82 Kings. Hit that notification bell so you can get all this magnificent content that we got over here at MACK TV, 82 Kings. Yeah, so I was just ruminating on some things. Just different lectures, speeches, things I've, there's a whole panoply of things that I've watched. And one of the main things that popped up in my head when I reflected was William Cooper's 1996 Lansing, Michigan lecture. Again, William Cooper wrote the book Behold a Pale Horse, which is pretty much, I would say, a part of the pantheon of all conspiracy theory books. But I think it goes beyond conspiracy because a lot of stuff he said happened or is happening. I think calling it mere conspiracy is kind of a slight to it. To some people it is like a Bible. But yeah, William Cooper, he was in the Navy. He was an ex-Navy man. Got really into like different. He started to study secret societies and different governments and a lot of ancient theology, and he made parallels or correlations between ancient theology and current secret societies. Again, I did a book review for Behold a Pale Horse, so I'll put not only the book review to Behold a Pale Horse in the comment section. I will also put a link to the actual Lansing lecture. This is a recap of the Lansing lecture. I'm just talking about different things that he talked about. I'm summing it up, reviewing it, recap, what have you. Let's see. I first came across this lecture again. It was done in 1996. I want to say I came across it maybe like 2012, sometime within that time frame. He starts off the lecture pretty much, he starts off the lecture talking about the mystery schools, Mystery Babylon, mystic secret societies, and pretty much how one of the main philosophies of these secret societies or these mystery schools was that of the Luciferian philosophy. Luciferian. What is the Luciferian philosophy? Essentially, a lot of these people that are in these secret societies that buy into the Luciferian philosophy wholesale, a lot of them are atheists, a lot of them are humanists, a lot of them do not believe in God. They merely, if you're a Christian, you would call it the fall of man, as far as what Adam and Eve partaking in the fruit in the Garden of Eden, thus being endowed with knowledge and wisdom and understanding. Well, not necessarily wisdom, but knowledge. And being able to think. So if you're a believer or a Christian, you look at it like it's the fall of man. When Adam and Eve partook in the fruit, they disobeyed God, and it put humankind, in a fallen state, and women became subjugated under men. Again, that's just I'm not saying that I believe that to be true, as far as women being beneath men, but we're taught that due to original sin, women were pretty much at the behest of men. You don't have to believe what you want, but if we're talking biblical text, yes. But the way that the people in the mystery schools think, they feel as though essentially Lucifer, which means light bearer, he actually was a good dude. And let me say this, there's a delineation between Lucifer and Satan, but that's a whole nother conversation. I'm just going to stick on Lucifer. They believe that Lucifer was a liberator. That pretty much Adam and Eve were these mindless animals in the Garden of Eden, and they were just, really imprisoned by their ignorance, and essentially God was no more than like a control freak or like a prison warden, and by convincing Eve to partake in the fruit, and then also later on Adam, they were liberated. They could think. They were critical. They could think. They could critically think. They could analyze. They now became godlike because they could think. Okay, so Luciferian philosophers, those that believe the Luciferian philosophy, they think Lucifer was a good dude. So he talks about that. He also talks about how there's a correlation between Prometheus and Lucifer. Prometheus, it escapes me at the moment what school of mythology he came from. Was it Roman mythology? I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that. But Prometheus stole fire from the gods, and that fire was fire was a metaphor for knowledge, information. So pretty much Lucifer was Prometheus before Prometheus. So there's a correlation in the sense of knowledge being disseminated. Prometheus stole fire from the gods and gave it to mankind, and humans became enlightened. Then Bill Cooper goes even further. He mentions the correlation between Prometheus and Lucifer, but then he goes even further to talk about how, the whole concept of good and evil, light versus dark, it literally evolved from men, we're talking like BC or BCE, before Christ or before Common Era, depends on, how you moving out here. But before, BC, we're talking like ancient times. Technology was nil or very, very slim. But he was saying how the fire, having access to the fire, first of all, what happened was there was a bolt of lightning. There's a movie called Quest for Fire that goes into detail and shows you this. But there was like a bolt of lightning that hit a tree. One of the branches caught on fire. And when ancient man captured the flame, he realized I can keep myself warm. I can ward off like animals. I can see in the dark. And the ability to sustain that light made him both a scientist and a king and a priest. Pretty much. He was a mystery. How was he able to sustain this light, this fire? So a lot of people would yield to the bidding of the person who could sustain the fire. They pretty much were godlike. So y'all, you see the correlation and the symbolism of fire and knowledge and control. He said a lot. I had to take notes in this, but the whole concept of light and dark, when the sun came up, you were illuminated, you could see, but it was good. But when the sun went down, it got scary because there wasn't any, you didn't have no flashlight, you in the dark, and there's all types of monsters, there's all types of animals that can see in the dark, and would eat you. So light, good, dark, bad. One of the things that he also talked about, he really went in on the church, but more so from the perspective of Jesus is the homie, but the institution of the church as we know it is not Christ-like. Ain't a lot of Christ in it. Then he talks about how, Trinity Broadcast Network, how they have like a cross and a crown, which symbolizes theocracy or the government, church and state becoming one, government and church becoming one, a theocracy. No, we don't want a theocracy because that can go extreme. If you don't believe what I believe, then you need to get murdered. He need to be punished for not believing what I believe. So no, I am totally for separation of church and state. Because I think when you bring theocracy into government, it can get murky. People can become zealots and have a lot of religious fervor to the point where they purely function at the behest of their beliefs, and they're not trying to be objective in their dealings with greater society. So no, I think I'm big on freedom. I think just because you don't believe what I believe that you should go to hell to be punished, so long as what you believe isn't a harm to society, greater society, and that's largely subjective. But yeah, he talks about how with a lot of these secret societies, or the mystery schools, these secret societies, they all pretty much formulate under the wing of under the umbrella of Illuminati. Adam Weishaupt, what's his name? Adam Weishaupt? Yeah, I probably mispronouncing his name, but he was the founder of the Illuminati. But it's basically just about control. What Absol had that album Control System. Great album, by the way. I think it outlines a lot of what William Cooper was saying. One of the things that William Cooper said was how the Illuminati or these secret societies, they pretty much want us to become, they want the world to become a one world government, socialist, totalitarian nation state. What does that mean? Pretty much totalitarian mean you're subjected to the whim and total control of the powers that be. Socialism meaning you're pretty much dependent on the government in some way. To be enslaved, you don't necessarily need to have chains on you. If I just make you dependent on me and you can't function at your own behest, you're a slave. And he talked about pretty much debt is going to become the most oppressive thing, and we see it. Debt and what else? We'll turn into a cashless society. He said all this back in '96. And it's happening. You had now they got the thing called Fed Now, where there pretty much is not going to be. Before I go there, I want to say 2 weeks ago I went to a store, and they told me in 2 months they won't even be accepting cash. They want everything to be digital, a digital wallet. And my thing is, I guess that can be convenient, but when it gets to the Fed Now thing, that app where everybody has to submit to, where they can see how much money you're making, they can take out money for taxes, child support, whenever they see fit. There's just not a lot of autonomy you have with your money. And how pretty much, what else did they say about Fed Now? It's basically like a government cash app. But I heard that it can go even further, where they can dictate what you can purchase and what you can't purchase. That's scary. Like, you talk about like Constitution totally being overhauled. It's happening right in our face. But what else? He pretty much talks about how in a lot of these secret societies, you go up the ranks and you learn a secret. And ultimately the secret is control. You want to control society. You want to dictate what people can and can't do. And you want to convince them that they're happy. You want to sell them this fake dream. You want to sell them the propaganda of a panacea. You're happy. Do as thou wilt. And it's like, no, I'm not. This is totally lascivious, filled with lasciviousness and self-destruction. And I think anyone with any type of moral compass would feel that way. He was just saying how they don't believe, a lot of them do not believe in the afterlife. They look at everything as a learning experience. So what, you killed some people? So what, you did drugs? So what, you did whatever you wanted. You learned from it, right? And we all know that there are consequences with the things we do. So just to say, to walk out here in life and act all willy-nilly like everything is just a experiment, I think is definitely destructive. He talked about Pat Buchanan and Pat Robertson. part of Pat Buchanan. Both of them have religious affiliations. Then he talked about how TBN Network, the Cross and the Crown, represented the theocracy again, which was the church coalescing with the state, theocracy. What else did he talk about? Then he outlined how people could actually create their own radio stations, and he gave steps on how to document truth, how to regulate your radio station, and pretty much how to find your own radio frequency and how to set it up, and ultimately how you can have your own press, your own way to disseminate your information. But the thing I thought was really dope about that is he always said you must be focused on truth, and you have to be focused on truth. Find official documentations, find legit sources, and if you're wrong, admit you're wrong. And at the end of the day, there's no blanking for the truth. The core goal needs to be the dissemination of truth. Truth. But yeah, again, let me backtrack a little bit. The cross and the crown also is supposed to symbolize the Templar Knights as well. Templar Knights, that's a whole nother wormhole. Not wormhole, but that's a whole deeper thing to get into. That's a whole nother conversation. He just pretty much was talking about how our country, the premise of our nation is beautiful. Freedom, justice, equality. We espouse a lot of Christ-like values in theory, not necessarily in practice. I liked how he talked about Jesus. He really framed Jesus as a revolutionary, as a liberator, as someone who was anti-systemic oppression. Jesus is someone who was a truth teller, held people accountable, held leaders accountable, fought for the oppressed, fought for justice, and that a lot of people in the church today don't really know anything about Jesus, how he lived, what he